So you're only here for what? Yeah, absolutely. And what are we going to do this morning? We're going to release and let go. And we're going to eat. Of course. Of course. I just want to say before I start how grateful I am for each and every one of you. You've pulled together, you've been at church, you've each taken a part and done something. And that's why we're here. That's why we call it our church home. And of course, so grateful for Kathy for stepping up and doing the Sunday talks. So I returned home about a week and a half ago. And I was sitting in my chair in my office going, what am I going to talk about? And the words Phoenix Rising just rolled through my head. Now, many of you may know that for the ancient Egyptians, the phoenix was a mythical bird, and it had a shimmery, glowing plumage. And it would live 100 to 500 years, and then it would build a nest and get in its nest and combust. It would burn up until everything was ashes. And from those ashes, a brand new phoenix would rise up. And the Egyptians saw this as a symbol of rebirth, that after every destruction, there is creation. And so during the flooding of the Nile, instead of looking at that as something negative, they looked at it as renewal, as rebirth, as abundance, as wealth. When I was in ministerial school, one of the things they really tried to get into our heads was that after 3 years of ministry, you needed a 3-month sabbatical. Why? Ministry is one of the highest positions of burnout. It's not just this Sunday talk, which takes about 20 hours to write. It's 40 hours of administration besides. I've been here 10 years. In the first 5 years, I took no vacation. This church needed a lot of work. It didn't have a minister for 3 years. Also, in those 5 years, I had 2 hips replaced. The next 5 years leading up to the sabbatical, I took 7 weeks vacation. So 7 weeks vacation in how many years? 10. 10. And I'm telling you this so you get a picture of ministry. Not just me, but ministry, period. I don't want to get too far off my notes. Last November, I have a wonderful doctor who is a medical doctor plus an alternative healer doctor. And she said to me, "You are in total burnout." What does that mean? It doesn't mean just emotionally. It also means spiritually and big time physically. My adrenals weren't working anymore. My thyroid wasn't working anymore. My heart would not stop racing. And from here down, the whole nervous system was just going constantly. It's like I felt like I wanted to run 100 miles an hour and I couldn't move. And so everything became an effort. It was hard to get out of bed. I had to push. It was hard to drive the car. It was hard to come in here. But it was November. We're coming up to Christmas time, the busiest time. And I have these wonderful genes. I have this really strong body, and so I can push it until I couldn't push it anymore. And someone said to me, like the last Sunday I was here, you probably didn't see much of me. I would go in my office, I was going in the bathroom. I couldn't interact even. There was nothing left in this body to give. I'm not saying that to make anyone feel bad. I just want you to know that ministry is about service. It's about serving God. And so we tend to forget, this is why there's burnout, we tend to forget to take care of ourselves. And so I left, and Fern and I decided we'd go to the Carolinas. And she's a great driver, and I don't like to drive, so she took us there. But just before I left, I started getting this stuff on my arms. And I thought it was hives because I was, so stressed out. And it got worse and worse. It was a reaction for those wonderful mangoes that our yard was filled with. The mango skin has the same factors in it as poison ivy and poison sumac. And so where I was carrying these wonderful fruits from here to here on both arms was rash with red pimples with pus, and that just itched. And so here's how my vacation started. And, you walk around with your arms like that, and we found that baking soda, you make a paste of baking soda and put it on there. Well, that's pretty good, but then it clunks and falls off. And Fern had honey with her. She says, mix it with honey. And we put honey in there, and I woke up in the morning, the sheets were covered with this yellow globby stuff. The floor was covered with it. I said, let's get out of this hotel room before they wonder what we did. And then we went to a pharmacy. What they gave us didn't work. Anyway, 2 weeks driving around with my arms out the windows, doing whatever I could to stop the itch. So I didn't really relax too much that first 2 weeks. I came home for a week, and I still felt like I was racing. The next part of my trip was to go to Chicago to see Aladdin that BA is putting on there, directing. Before I knew I was going to miss something here, my doctor told me that if I didn't stop right now, I saw her in July, that I was leading into a stroke or a heart attack. So I realized I got it. I wasn't going to mess around with this. So, yeah, this is what I say. I started talking. What I want to talk to you about before I get to Chicago is the churches, the Unity churches I visited. Because it rained in the Carolinas, we ended up in Myrtle Beach. And I stopped at Unity. Dan, you have that picture. This is my friend Margaret Hiller. David Hiller has spoken here. We've been friends for a long time. She is a lot younger than me. And as she showed me her church, she was doing the same thing I'd been doing for months. She couldn't breathe. Every step, she was gasping for air. And I went, Margaret, stop now. Again, church maybe a little bit bigger than this. She has a husband, she has support, but it's ministry. The next church I visited was in Chicago. This is my classmate Kurt's church in North Chicago. Notice that great big beautiful building. They have about 45 people on Sunday. Kurt took the month of August off. Now, he was the youngest one in our ministerial class. He hasn't been there as long as I've been here. He was so depressed he couldn't get out of his own way, so he took a month off. Came back. It hadn't been long enough. The basement on that had flooded. It had 2 inches of water in it. They had to take care of that. Then there was something else that happened, and now this beautiful brick building, he took me around, all the bricks are crumbling. And so the whole building has to be redone. He's like, we've got to get out of here. But it's a beautiful church. People have been there for years. They don't want to move. Again, this is part of what happens in ministry. Then they went to Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, this little lady has tried to retire 3 times. She is 86 years old. And that Sunday, they were introducing the new minister. So she is going to be able to retire. Now, don't show the next one yet. We also got to see Reverend Therese at Hilton Head. Now, she's part-time, and so Therese. She's just did a retreat in Canoga. But let's show you what Reverend Therese looks like. I don't think this lady will ever burn out if she doesn't stay still long enough. So I'm getting back on track. During the 2 months that I was gone, every place I looked, there was disaster happening in this world, right? I mean, there were hurricanes and tornadoes and fires and earthquakes and floods. And I went, wow, I'm not the only one burnt out. The whole world is. Disasters and heartbreaking situations trigger something very deep within us, don't they? There's a sense of oneness. There's a sense of connectedness. There's a desire to reach out and help those that need help. And over again, what I kept hearing were stories of kindness, of compassion, of people reaching out to help. What about those power trucks that came from everywhere? There was a story I saw on Facebook that a man who delivers papers to a gas station brings his papers there, early morning when it's still dark. And in the grocery store parking lot near it, there were 3 power trucks parked. And he said, I don't get it. Why are those guys there? Don't they have a hotel room? And the gas station person said, yes, but it's 40 minutes away. And so they sleep in their trunk so they can start restoring the lines 40 minutes earlier in the day. And then I saw picture after picture of these guys in water up to here, in the muck, in the swamps, dragging these lines. And I'm sure you have. There's story after story after story of wonderful things that us human beings do to take care of each other. I was on the plane coming home from Williamsburg. I was supposed to be back here the day after the hurricane. And Suzanne said, Mom, no power, no water. Why come back? So I postponed it a couple days, and a couple days more. I ended up staying an extra week. When I came back on the plane, the 2 people next to me were returning after the hurricane. The people across the aisle were returning. Most of the people on the plane were returning back to Florida after the hurricane. And I can't tell you the sense of oneness, of family, of connection we had. The flight attendants I've never experienced flight attendants this wonderful. Southwest Airlines folks, the pilot. They had us laughing. They interacted with us the whole flight. And then they came up and said, we have a special little girl with us today. She was 4 years old, and that morning her parents woke her up. It was her 4th birthday, and said, for your birthday, we're taking you to Disney. And the flight attendants learned this. I don't know how well you can say it. They took those little red pretzel bags and they made a crown for her and they put it on her head. And then they brought her up front and they said, okay, everyone, shut your shades down. Put your call light on. So the only light in the plane were the call lights. And that's her birthday candles. So we sang happy birthday, and when she blew, everyone put their light out. And the whole flight was like that. Natural disasters have always existed. They're not new. There's just a lot more of us to get in the way. Floods, fires, tornadoes, cyclones, hurricanes, earthquakes, they're part of the cycle of the Earth's changing climate. Do you know that 400 million years ago, most of North America was underwater? I used to spend a lot of time outside of Salt Lake City hiking in the Wasatch Mountains. I was 8,000 feet up, and there was sand and seashells. Our world keeps changing. And science is now showing, well, they can prove it, basically, that what we call the acts of God in the Bible, well, natural disasters happening. The Jericho walls that came tumbling down, earthquake. The fire and brimstone raining on Sodom and Gomorrah, earthquake, volcano eruptions. In fact, Jericho is located smack dab in the middle of a rift valley. You know, it makes sense. And then they can attribute the 10 plagues that devastated Egypt to a chain of natural events. You can read about it. I'm not going to go into this. You can read about it. You can find it anywhere. The natural events triggered by climate change. Our climate keeps changing. It's not going to stop changing. Just for an example, the first plague where the Nile turned into blood, turned red. Come on, guys, we have that here. What's it called? Algae bloom, right? Yeah. They didn't know these things then. And it made much better Bible writing, didn't it? Our human spirit is so resilient. When life knocks us down, what do we do? What do we do? We get back up. And we do it time and time and time again. We get back up. We rise up from those ashes, just like the phoenix. So how many times do we have to get back up after we've burnt to ashes? How many? Every time. You got it. Yes. Confucius said, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. We do that. We're awesome. The burning of the phoenix isn't about physical destruction. It's about destruction to our old thoughts and beliefs, to the way it's always been done. And as I look around this world, what seems like disasters is changing the way it's always been done. My soul, your soul, longs to find its way home to wholeness. You feel that? Yeah. But sometimes, folks, we have to go through fire to get there, don't we? But what does fire do? Fire cleanses, it clears, and from that we can emerge whole, free to claim our higher purpose, to see with new eyes, to breathe again. The image of the phoenix rising from ashes is about transcendence. It's about transformation. It's about overcoming obstacles and moving into victory, being victorious, rising again. So now, my rising started in Chicago, in a building on the corner, on the street, with buses and trucks and sirens and every big city noise you can imagine. The apartment's on the second floor, 2 floors are windows. I stayed with BA for a week. And those of you that don't know who BA is, BA was with us about 6 months. He's a Broadway music director, conductor who blessed us with his music and wrote 14 songs for us in the time he was here. We became very close friends. So I had this wonderful bedroom, my own bathroom. He was out late doing the show. I'm an early riser. The floor was all wood, this old building. And I'd get up every morning, and I'd do an hour and a half of yoga. He had this little tiny patio with a tree out there. I'd go out there and do my meditation. And I could feel it. I could feel the connection starting again. I could feel my heart slowing down. I could feel things coming back, my life returning to me. 3 weeks it took to get to that point. And one morning, I'd been out there meditating, and as I walked in from the balcony, I heard BA at the keyboard, part of his meditation. And he was playing this song. And I didn't ask him, but I videoed it, because it was touching my heart so much. And then this past Friday, as I was on the beach, this song was going in my head and going in my head and going in. It wouldn't go away. So when I got home from the beach, I sent him a text and said, hey, I want this for Sunday. So what we're going to do is, and within an hour, I had what you're going to see. It's in 2 parts because it was too big for me to get in one part. So there'll be a little break in between. But we're going to close the lights down, and you're going to see this gift sent to us by BA.
Hi, friends. A new song for you that a friend of mine here, 2 friends of mine here on tour wrote, called I Am. I am God, I am Spirit. I am the power that creates the world. And we say it again. I am God, I am Spirit. I am the power that creates the world. Sounds like this. I am God, I am Spirit. I am the power that creates the world. I am God, I am Spirit. I am the power that creates the world. Pretty simple. And in its simplicity, let it reach down inside of you. I am God, I
So I'm winging this. I just got moved while I was watching that. And would you ask Carol Ann to come in so she can be part of this? Musicians, would you mind getting up there if we play this again? Can you lead us with it so we can all sing it? Because I could hear people wanting to sing this as it was being played. And we'll lower the lights down, but let the musicians have some light on them, Kayla. And Dan, just the second half where he starts playing. So I ask you to sing this, to feel it, to know that this is the message that we are bringing into the world. This is the power that we have.
I am God, I am Spirit, I am the power that creates the world. I am God, I am Spirit, I am the power that creates the world. You are God, you are Spirit, you are the power that creates the world. You are God, you are Spirit, you are the power that creates the world. We are God, we are Spirit, we are the power that creates the world. We are God, we are Spirit, we are the power that creates the world. I am God, I am Spirit, I am the power that creates the world. I am God, I am Spirit, I am the power that creates the world. You are the power that creates the world. We are the power that creates the
Liz got moved. Thank you, Liz. So just feel that. Just what's it feel like? What are you feeling? What did that do? Tell me. Open the heart. Yeah. Open the bigness, the oneness, the connection. We are one. We are one with everybody in this world. We are spirit. And we are the power that creates. So our hearts open to all the tragedies, to all the things that are happening out there, and know that just when you feel this, just when you open this, you are sending that out there and you are helping. You are making a difference with every positive thought we have. Every time our heart opens, every time we know our oneness, we help the rest of the world. We are energy. We are energetic beings. And so the old paradigm is dissolving, folks. And we are birthing a new age. We are birthing a new world. One of harmony, of balance, of peace, of unconditional love. A new phoenix is rising. So next time you feel like you're burning up, next time you feel like the world around you is burning up, I want you to look at it the way the ancient Egyptians did. That the old is being washed away. The old is being released. And this earth, is creating space for a newer, higher consciousness. For us to function at a newer, higher level. I'm giving you some how-tos this week. And from now on, I invite you to step away from the constant negative news and media coverage. It's been proven that watching traumatic stories, hearing traumatic stories, actually shortens our life and increases PTSD, especially young children. The whole time when I was in Chicago, there was no TV there. The next thing I invite you to do, and I will be doing this, I will be speaking only twice a month. I am paying attention. I am going to stay recharged and keep recharged. Thank you. So recharge yourself. Exercise. Be in the sunshine. Walk on the beach. We've got great beaches here. Do something creative. Hug lots. Touch lots. Laugh a lot. Instead of watching that news, put a comedy on that makes you laugh. And always, please start your day with prayer and with meditation. When something out here pushes your button, watch. And instead of reacting, take a breath, step back. Remember, you are one. You are God. You are spirit. And you have the power to create this world. You have the power in that moment to not react. You have the power in that moment to be your wholeness, to be your perfection. I had an experience on the third leg of my journey with the person whose house I was staying at. Had some tragic news, went into this real bad place, and I watched my energy start to move, and then I pulled it back. And as I pulled it back and moved into that place of love, this person had a whole new experience. There's been a change in this person's life because I was able to remember and see this person as they were and not in the reaction they were having. We can do that. We have the power to do that. We have the power to free ourselves from the cage of negative, limited thoughts and beliefs, to claim our freedom and our joy, unlimited creativity, to claim our birthright. We are one. With me, we are one. We are spirit, and we are the power that creates this world. We are Phoenix Rising. God bless you.